Hey cats, what's happening? Join me out here in the man cave for a little bit so we can chat this morning. It's a little chilly outside, too cold for riding, about 20 degrees out there. Not for me. At least it's somewhat above freezing in the man cave here. I could warm it up if I wanted to, but I don't plan on staying out here right at the moment. But it's okay for us to have a little conversation this morning on bikers being profiled by the police. Now, this comes, of course, from past experience on my part, and I'm sure you all have stories too. If you're a biker, if you dress like a biker, you ride a bike, a Harley, or whatever, even a sport bike, you get profiled. People and police officers specifically will look at you with the thought in mind that you're up to no good, that you're a lawbreaker. Whether that's true or not, it has obviously been the case more than once with myself. And I'll talk about that. I'll share some stories here. But I'm sure if you're like me, even now when I'm driving down the road and I see a police officer pulled off on the side there doing radar, or perhaps he's behind me, tailing me for some reason, even if they're going the other way, I always look in my mirror to think, oh, is he going to turn around and follow me? You know, you have that little tinge of anxiety or paranoia that even though you're not doing anything wrong, that the police has that power that they can turn around and come after you for really no apparent reason, and they have in the past. The first story I'm going to talk about wasn't on a motorcycle, it was in a car. I had a Pontiac Firebird. This was many, many years ago. I was a younger buck back then. It was kind of a street racer. I had the big N50 slicks on the back, air shocks, racing transmission, clutch, the whole thing, 350 V8 gas guzzler. It was a fast car. Buddy and I were out one evening and we were heading on our way home. We weren't up to no good or anything really. We were on a remote stretch dark road and we got pulled over by the local authorities. There was two officers in the car. And one walked up on the passenger side, one walked up on my side, and they asked for my driver's license, which I gave him. And then he asked me and my buddy to please step out of the car. So we opened the car doors and we stepped out of the car. And I obviously began to ask, what did we get pulled over for? What did I do? You know, I don't know that I did anything wrong. I wasn't speeding. I was just trying to go home. Told me to be quiet, and he took my driver's license. On the other hand, my buddy over on the other side of the car wouldn't shut up. He was going off. You know, what the hell? What did you get pulled over for? We didn't even do anything wrong. This is bullshit. Well, next thing I know, the police officer over there with him pulled out his nightstick and started beating the crap out of him with the nightstick. The other officer that was heading back to the cruiser with my driver's license turned around and started coming back towards me and reached down, pulled out his stick to start whumping on me. Well, I saw it coming and I ducked back in the car, got in the car, pulled the door shut. And the cop just stood outside my window with his nightstick. My buddy was able to make his way back into the passenger seat before the other police officer stopped hitting him with the nightstick. He got bruised up pretty good and wasn't about to take much more of a beating. And of course, we were in no position to try to fight back. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to get shot. I didn't want to get pummeled. So we kind of let it go, and we got a citation for going left of center. For going over the center line, which I argue that I even did, but that was their reason for pulling us over, which we both assumed was nothing more than profiling. They saw the red car, they saw it was a street rod, and they pulled us over for no apparent reason, just to see what was going on. And for some reason, they got their jollies out of whumping on us. We took it to court. I explained to the judge exactly what happened, and the judge dropped all the charges and just threw the case out. So there was no fine or anything. We walked out of there free, high-fiving. Other than my buddy who has still had some pretty good black and blue marks on him. There was a lot of other situations though where I was actually on a motorcycle and had to deal with the same kind of stereotyping. I used to go to the biker bar up the road here, 5 or 6 miles up the road, and that was my home away from home. I was up there quite a bit, and I did a lot of drinking up there. Well, it came to a part in my life where things were sailing out of control, and I knew that I had to get my head screwed on straight, so I quit drinking. And it was only by the grace of God that I made it home so many times from that bar without incident. But I did. And on this particular day, I had gone up to the bar. My buddies, hey, can I buy you a beer? And I say, no, how about buying me a bottle of water? A bottle of water, Itchy? You got to be kidding me. Come on, let me buy you a beer. No, I'm not drinking beer. I'm just drinking water. I had cold turkeyed. I had quit drinking, period, and all I drank was bottled water. So they'd buy me a bottle of water, and I drank my water up at the bar. Well, it was time for the bar to close down. All the fun and games were over. Everybody was going home. I saddled up on the bike, fired it up, and started on the ride home. I was on a dark stretch of road then in between here and there. Kind of a very deserted area, and just out of nowhere, bam, there's a cop behind me, and he lights me up and pulls me over. He comes strolling up to the bike, and he says, where are you coming from? And I said, from the biker bar down the road there. He said, let me see your driver's license, which I did, showed him my driver's license. He said, how many of you had to drink? Well, being a smart ass, I said, oh, probably about 2 or 3. He says, well, you want to get off the bike there? I'm going to have to give you a sobriety test. And I said, sobriety test for what? He said, well, you told me you had 2 or 3 to drink. Now I got to check to see, if you're over the legal limit. And I said, for drinking water? Well, he looked at me funny and he said, what are you talking about? And I said, you asked me how many I had to drink. You didn't specify whether it was alcohol or water. And I said, it was water that I was drinking. I drank 2 or 3 bottles of water. I don't think he found it very humorous, but at that point, he gave me my driver's license back and told me to have a good day, and I was on my way back home. But again, profiled, stopped only because I was on a Harley, and it was probably 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. What's this biker doing out on the road at that time of the evening? I got to pull him over and see what's going on. Not really legal, but it happens, and it happens a lot. I was pulled over one time. I was out west. I was traveling out west, and I was in Iowa. I'd been riding all day, a good 8 hours on the highway, and I was tired, and I just wanted to get off and get to the campground. So I exited the highway, and I was taking a back state route, heading towards the state park. And I got pulled over by a local yokel. Now, this is one of those guys that you see in the movies, with the mirror sunglasses and the hat tipped down and kind of scary looking, and the way he walked around with his hands on his hips and looking at me like I was dog dirt. He questioned me where I was coming from, where I was going, what I was doing out this way, and ran me through a whole gamut of questions. Took my driver's license. He came back and gave me a citation for speeding. I think I was maybe 12 miles over the speed limit, just barely enough, to get a ticket for. I didn't argue, though. He was one of these guys you didn't want to argue with, you didn't want to start trouble with, because you didn't know where it was going to go. It looked like he was one of those guys that had a hair trigger, like, don't even try to make a joke here, because he wouldn't take it very lightly. That turned into a big hassle too. There was some kind of mix-up with the citation, And the fine ended up being way more than I thought it was going to be. And it was just a huge hassle over what? When I didn't even assume to do anything wrong. So yeah, biker profiling, I'm sure you all have stories, I'm sure you've all had experiences, and I'm sure you feel the same way I do when you see a police go down the road. You're always looking in the mirror thinking, oh, he's going to turn around and come after me, even though you're not doing anything wrong. It just comes with the territory, I guess. Give me a thumbs up, like the video, share it with your friends, get them in on the action too, see what they got to say about being profiled. I'm sure there's stories that are far more detailed than some of the experiences I've had, to include actually being hauled off to jail. If you haven't yet subscribed, we'll bring you plenty more videos. I like to post my videos every Thursday and every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. Can't always be there for you, but I sure give it my best shot. So there you go, cats. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, ride hard and die free.